Hey, this is Adam Wins, and this is The Winningest. Today, we're talking about wealth and about this amazing month we've had. So, as most of you know, we have taken our old investing system and we've made it much smarter, much wiser, much more intelligent, and much less risky. We're doing a lot of breakout stocks, and this month we had 11 winners. And up until today, there was no losers. So we had 11 winners, and today we got one loser for $6 and I think 26 cents. So that's pretty damn good when you got $3,800 profit on $100,000 this month. That's about the average, and a $6 loser. I mean that's a really really amazing month. So Mike is here to talk a little bit about breakout stocks and what's going on in the market, and really just why things are going the way they're going. So if you would, Mike, what's your take on what's happening over at the Winningest, or what's going on in the stock market in general that got us these amazing, let's say, 11 out of 12 trades that closed as winners. We were 11 out of 11 until just this morning. And I don't even count $6 as a loss. That's just, hey, we spent 30 days on it and it's a wash. That's a win in my book anyways.
Yeah, so I mean, the markets are up at all-time highs. We just continue to push and make new all-time highs kind of day after day, and we've done that now for quite some time. We're printing a lot of money from the central banks, and that's flowing into assets. It doesn't matter what you're taking a look at, from lumber. I'm sure you've seen the news on that, up, wow, 6-7 times in the last year. So,
yep.
When you look for a solid system, you're looking to trade the leaders, and that's what breakout trading is all about. It's focusing in on what is working, and it's continuing to work, and it's showing you that technically. And we pay attention to the technicals because the technicals don't lie. If stocks are going up, more people are buying than they are selling. And when you diversify across a number of sectors, like you guys have done, you capture the rotation trade, which you did very well this year, where we saw kind of tech kind of take a back seat there for a month or two, and money really flow into value stocks, material plays, things like that you're able to capture and take advantage of. So the market opportunities are fantastic. And as always, as you head into major earnings weeks like this week is, it's time to ring the register, take that risk off of the table, and kind of sit on the sidelines for a couple of days until those major pieces of news are out of the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Another question for you. So you were talking about lumber. So you're like a financial genius, and what you guys do for financial wealth management is just amazing. So with that being said, if we have a client, or let's say just me in general, I'm concerned about the price of lumber, right? So it's gone up. It's great if I had bought into lumber at the time, or if I had a forest. But if I'm trying, right? But if I'm trying to buy a new house or build a new house or even sell my old house, what does this really mean for the housing market? Because there's two things at play that I understand. So in the first housing crash, we had roughly 2.4 million homes that were pre-foreclosure or in foreclosure. Now we're at something like 5 times that amount with 5+ million homes, maybe upwards of 10 million homes, a huge amount of homes that will be possibly going into foreclosure if that does happen. And we're seeing the courts start to slowly back open and handle those. Is that why lumber is so highly inflated right now? What's really going on?
Well, let's talk about two things here. So we'll get to lumber in a second, but I want to address the amount of potential foreclosures that are out there. So COVID hits, the government puts a moratorium on evictions. And I think it's something like 1 in 5 renters in the U.S. are behind at this point in time. One of the most important things we look forward to in this year is whether they lift that moratorium or not. If they lift that moratorium, there is the potential where you have a flood of houses hitting the market, which would really change the landscape that we see at this moment. In the housing market, there's a couple of other factors at play. With COVID, waning and things opening back up. This isn't the same that it was a year ago, but people don't want other people in their house looking, so they're not listing. Last month, I think we were 40% below where we were in 2019 in terms of listings on the housing market. So not 2020, 2019, in a normal market, we have 40% less supply. We also saw mass exodus out of cities into suburban areas with everything that happened over the last year. And there just hasn't been the housing supply in the market to meet that demand. And the price of lumber continues to go up and up and up because we are trying to fill that demand by building more houses. And as prices continue to go up, home builders are now hoarding lumber as well. So as the second they can get their hands on supply, they're buying as much of it as they can, because if the price continues to go up 15 and 20% a month, they don't want to pay, 30, 40, 50% higher in 3 to 4 months. So there's so many different weird things in play here. I mean, that's why we've seen an 800% increase in lumber in a year, which is astronomical. Nothing like this has happened before in the lumber market,
Not in
in our lifetime. No,
Yeah.
It's wild.
So it's a good place if you own land with trees on it. It's a great time to be that landowner with with trees. And if you're building, what does that mean for, like? So where do you see the balance coming out? So will the new home prices have to increase? So the new build homes, if the cost of lumber is 100%, the cost of the house, obviously most of the homes in America are built with lumber. It's got to be at least 75% of the raw material. In most houses, maybe 50%. But are we going to see a new home increase by 50%, or will this new inventory? How do you see that
I mean,
going?
they've increased the prices 25, 30 grand a home, in a very short order of time. There was another really odd fact that saw the other day, and that was the used houses, the non-new construction, were selling for higher than new construction, which is something that hasn't happened since, I believe, 2008. People are willing to pay more for what is out there right now than those new constructions, because it takes a while to still build them. It's not just lumber. The whole supply chain is messed up. We did a little remodeling in our house, and we waited 2 months to get a shower door. And there was lots of different pieces of that project where it was like, what's going on? So new construction has a lot of issues, but they have to continue to raise their price. They've got to pass that on to consumers. I mean, that's what happens in an inflationary environment. They eat the costs for as long as they can, and when those costs just keep rising, they have to pass it on to consumers. So those new home prices can very much continue to rise if this continues.
Don't the banks also like this? Because that would mean that when they foreclose, they're going to be selling for higher than what they actually owe the bank in most cases.
Yeah, so that's the other really odd piece with this as well. When you think of foreclosures, it's somebody that's become delinquent, can't pay anymore, and they're upside down, right? If the value of my house has gone up 50% in 3 years, there's no way I'm upside down. So are the banks really going to be able to foreclose in the normal sense, or are people just going to sell that house, right, and pay back the owed money to the bank and keep that extra money? There's a lot of those weird questions. We don't know when all this supply comes back into the market, what it will really do. But there's a lot of interesting things to think through.
Right.
It's a very complex system, to say the least.
I'm definitely trying to figure it out, and I don't have an answer. So your input there was genius. What do you really think? How do you think that's going to affect the stock market then? So I know we can talk different sectors and whatnot, but let's say overall, something is disrupted in the housing market. It's disrupted. Let's just say it's not normal. Something's disrupted. How do we see that affecting the stock market?
So here's another interesting thing that a lot of people don't think about. So as home prices increase, right, and you're in your house, you refinance, you basically get free money. I mean, that's because the value of your house has gone up. You bought the house 2 years ago, you now have $40,000, $50,000 of extra equity in your house. You refinance at a lower rate as interest rates have continued to drop. Your monthly payment stays the same, and you're able to take money out of the house. What are people doing with that, right? they're doing additions to their house if they don't want to move because it's too difficult to get into bidding wars and all of that. So there's some money that goes back into their properties. People are buying cars. They're paying off different pieces of debt. They're buying TVs. They're spending money. It's growing the economy in that sense. If housing prices decrease, that refinance and to get free money out essentially disappears, that can certainly have a major impact in the stock market as well, because people are certainly cashing out money from their homes and putting it into the market as well.
That's the smart thing to do right now. If you can get money for 1.75% on a refi and put it into, the winningest signals, for example, and get 30% in 6 months, do the math. You can't, it's a no-brainer.
Yep. Cheap money, putting it to work in assets is usually a very good thing.
Yeah. So if your house is paid off, go for the refi now and find a place at a higher interest rate than what you're paying, right? It's always you're buying that cash very low and you're selling that cash very high by putting it back into the market. So, that's it's a great way to go with things. So let's delve a little bit more into your business, Mike, from the professional side. Now, I brought you a client the other day and we didn't record the call, but if you just want to go over, it's amazing how you relate to clients, how your company is so different. So do you want to talk a little bit about your company, a little bit about why you're different and how you can help people? Because there are a lot of people that want to take that money out of their home, or maybe they sold their home and they'd like to invest it. It's their second home or they're retiring or whatever it may be. And a lot of them have used traditional financial brokers, financial planners, and you guys are registered investment advisors, and you're really great at what you do. But you take a non-traditional approach, and you have much higher returns than a lot of people see with Schwab or Merrill Lynch or any of these other, the big boys. So you want to discuss a little bit about
Sure.
how you do that?
So I work for Prospective Wealth Planning. I'm the wealth management advisor. I design the company's portfolios and manage the investments. We have so many things that make us different than the majority of the people in the financial space. It's one of the reasons why we opened this business. The majority of companies out there, they'll put you into a year-dated target fund and ship it off to some other office and never think about it. You as an investor, you actually don't know what holdings you have inside of there. And there's not a lot of communication or explanation or understanding that goes on. We really focus in on an education side of things. We want you to fully understand your investments, your solutions that you've got in your portfolio. And we talk through that with you on a regular basis. We meet with our clients quarterly. We go over anytime there's a life-changing event and make a robust plan for them. Everybody that comes to us gets their own unique individualized plan. There is no one size fits all. We're all on a different journey in this life, and it's all about making sure that you get the right solution for your needs. And so by being able to fully understand what our clients need, we're able to deliver much better results than somebody that just does the same thing for all of their clients. And that's really what makes us different.
Nice. So when I was in on the conversation with the client, and you spoke about some different portfolios that you do have. Can you explain a little bit about what that is? And also with some of the other major companies, let's say they gave some bad advice as far as timing is concerned and different things. And when probably as a client, when you were speaking to her, she said, yeah, they should have pulled me out of the market at this time. And they just didn't, they just kind of rode her to the bottom. So can you explain a little bit about that and how that correlates to the different strategies or different portfolios that you have, depending on your level of risk or what your goals are?
Yeah, so we have a number of different portfolios that are all designed to do different things. We have the dividend and income portfolio, which is focused in on dividend aristocrat stocks, which are companies that have raised their dividends for 25 straight years. They're all household names that you would know. for people that are closer to retirement, that need income on a regular basis, that type of thing. We have a growth portfolio, which is focused in on growth areas of the market and disrupting companies that are up and coming that have tremendous growth potential. Now there's higher risk in that type of portfolio, but there's, higher rewards there as well. And then we have a tactical portfolio, which is a blend of some growth stocks, and it's also all about timing different areas of the market in terms of looking for rotation and things of that nature. And the great thing is if there is a storm on the horizon and we are able to see that, we're not constrained. Most of the other portfolios are constrained, meaning they've got to stay invested the whole way. You said riding it down to the bottom. That's basically it. Just hold on for dear life and hope that things come back. You have a long time horizon. Let's not do anything. We're able to raise cash. We're able to hedge the portfolios in a way that gives us the ability to avoid those extremely large down draws in certain market environments. Risk management is really our main focus. That's what we focus on right out of the get-go. It's not about how much money you can make. It's about making sure you don't take huge losses. The winners will take care of themselves eventually. You need to manage risk, and that's the foot we put forward on a regular basis.
I love it. I love it. Yes, risk is absolutely important, especially in these volatile times that we're living in. It's most people's main concern that they don't outlive whatever it is they've saved for retirement or whatever they have in their retirement. Now, with that being said, uh, if I was a client of yours, what would my expectations be in these different portfolios? What would that look like on an annual basis?
Well, I can't give you, percent numbers being a licensed individual and throwing that out. You certainly could reach out and we can provide our past results. Of course, that doesn't guarantee future results. That verbiage that you have to see
Sure,
everywhere.
sure. Let's
But we
say,
take a blended approach for our clients based on their risk parameters. So you may own a piece of a bunch of different portfolios. You may have some money in the dividend and income, some in tactical, and some in growth, depending on your risk tolerance, your time frame, your time horizon until you retire, things like that. So we'll build a unique, customized solution based upon your risks. And as I said before, you meet with us on a quarterly basis. Your expectations should be that you hear from us on a consistent basis. You have an understanding of what's going on in your portfolio, and you're able to adjust and adapt as market conditions change and as your life changes as well.
oh, that's fantastic. So you can change on the fly. If anything comes up, I call you tomorrow, say, Mike, stop. We need to just go to cash. That can be done.
Yep. I'm going to buy a second house. I need to take the money out of the market. I need to move it over in order to, close the deal. That's fine. We make those adjustments based on our clients' needs, and we talk through everything with them so that we make sure that we're making the best decisions, at all points in time.
Yeah, you mentioned in the call with the client that we were both talking to, about how you're client centric. Do you want to speak a little bit more about how you are more client centric, let's say, than a a traditional big firm? We know that they just send everything out and you're just a number to them on a piece of paper. But it really hit me in my heart because my parents lost half of their savings in the .com to Merrill Lynch, and Merrill Lynch just let him ride it to the bottom, and that guy got paid, a huge fee. He still got his fees, and he lost half of my family's net worth. So, do you want to speak a little bit more about the, let's say, why you guys opened this company and why you're so different on a more personal level?
Yeah. So, this goes back to the education side of things. People are misinformed on purpose, right? There's a reason we do not teach credit to our students in high school. They don't want people to understand the financial aspects of their life because the people that make those late payments on a regular basis make a lot of money for those firms. Financially literate and educated people do things very differently. They do it the right way, but there's not a lot of them out there. So conventional wisdom in a lot of times is a net negative for clients. So not only do we sit down and design and develop a plan for you, we educate you along the way. We put out 2 weekly videos every single week for our clients that go over all the major news events that are going on in the market, what that can mean for investments moving forward. And then we do a deep technical analysis dive as well. So not only are you getting, 4 meetings with us a year, you're getting touched on a regular basis. You're seeing multiple pieces of information a week. You're getting an updated education throughout the time with us that really takes you from not understanding to having a full understanding and being able to take control of things. And that knowledge that you gain is yours forever. Nobody can take that away. So, that's really what we're here for.
And that's excellent and right on point with my understanding of the way that you work, with the way that you worked with me so far. And I will say that you're very much different from most. And on the education side, you're right. It is so important that we learn the right way to do things as opposed to the way that the person that's making the fees or the way that the company product that they want that salesman to sell. So it's nice that you don't have any, let's say, company products that you're selling, so to speak. You're not really a salesman. You're strictly concerned personally with the fact that from 1 year to the second year, from the second year to the third year, to the third year to the fifth year, to the fifth year to the 10th year, that person is growing and having the success that they want. And if not, obviously, you said you're talking on a quarterly basis, so there's a way to remedy that.
Yep. I mean, that's the communication is key in everything in life. And, people make decisions with their entire life savings in a blink of an eye that has no intelligence behind it. And it's always, confused me as to why people will do that. But I mean, when we're able to talk on a regular basis and go through things, you don't make those types of mistakes. You get a full understanding. You make more intelligent decisions, not just with your finances, but it rolls over into other areas of your life as well. And it's really important, to have a full on wellness to your being.
Absolutely. Now, getting started with you and your company, how does that work? So I understand that the first thing you do is a financial, let's say, audit, or you go over my finances in depth with what my goals, my objections are, or what really I want to accomplish, and then how you can do that. And you have several means of doing that, as far as I understand. You have life insurance, you've got a whole bunch of different products. Can you speak to me a little bit about that?
Sure. So, I mean, we have a full suite of different solutions. It's not just portfolios. Insurance, especially if done right, which most people don't do, can provide some real benefits. There's some very creative solutions there. And we definitely like to think out of the box and have put together some incredible things for people along the way. So there you go.
Gotcha. So that's even from a tax perspective. You guys are coming from overall wealth, not just looking at one little piece. You're actually planning out what would be the best course of action for the next, what, 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Correct.
Because obviously we know that money's going to be made. So taxes are always an important part.
Yeah, taxes. I mean, that's something a lot of people don't think about as well. At the end of the year, do I sell this? Do I take this gain? Do I, we look through those pieces. But onboarding somebody is a very interesting process. We go through and build a full-on financial plan for you, and this takes a look at everything from where you are today to where you want to go, and everywhere in between. We lay out a full plan for you that, if you don't like it, you don't have to work with us. We do this for free, and you will definitely learn something just from that plan in and of itself. It is a roadmap to get you from here to where you want to go, and that is laid out for you. And that is a living document. That's what I mean by those.
There's no charge for it.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. And how long is this documented? I mean, how deep do you guys go? Tell me a little bit more about it.
I mean, we go all the way down to, the types of risks that you should be taking, how much money you're going to need on a monthly basis in order to actually live the lifestyle that you want. Those types of things. It's an in-depth piece. Most firms are charging couple $1,000s for something like this. Again, we don't want to be like everybody else. I want you to have the information. And after you see it and you understand the plan and solution, the majority of the people do work with us because it's not like anything else that they've seen before. And it is really, like I said, it's a living document. It changes over time as well because your goals from 10 years ago are very different than they are today. And, most of the time people will bring somebody in, they'll stick their money in something and they just won't talk to them for 20 years. That doesn't make any sense from a growth perspective. How can you possibly deliver something of value if that's the way that you operate? You can't. And so we take a very different approach.
I love the philosophy. It's very much in alignment with what we do at The Winningest. And I appreciate that you're so customer centric and so customer concerned. Now, how about on a personal level, a little bit about you, Mike? Tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the financial space, a little bit about your family. And because I know you're a team of really good men and really good family men that, you have purpose to your life. You have purpose with your family. Tell us a little bit about your goals and what made you do what you do and the reason why you do it.
Sure. So I got a degree in economics a number of years back, and it's always been my area of fascination. And while I was in college, I actually played poker professionally for a number of years. And the fascinating thing is poker and the stock market line up very, very closely to one another. It is all about probabilities, and it's all about managing risk. The best poker players in the world all do one thing: they manage their bankrolls properly. The best investors and the best traders in the world all do one thing: they manage their risk appropriately. And those two things just really work one-on-one. And that's how my mind thinks. My mind thinks in terms of probabilities and in a game environment. So something like poker and the stock market just line up perfectly with how my brain works. Just had my first child, almost two. She's almost 2 now. I mean, it's incredible how quickly the time flies. So yeah, another month. That's just, the time just goes whoo.
Nice.
That's the only positive piece from the pandemic, was that my wife and I got to spend a lot more time with her than we would have if the world had been normal. I always try to look at the positive side of things. I know I focus in on the risk side of things as well, but it's really important to also have that optimism. And so as tough as the last couple of years have been for everybody, there at least is a little bit of light there, for sure. So
No, there's a ton of light there. We've spent, a great time with our families. We've gotten to explore the world in a way that is more virtual, like we're doing right now, but yet more intimate, because we can find out a lot more about people and really have the attention to and the time to learn what we need to learn. And definitely what you guys do is so helpful. Make sure that everybody goes over to the Winningest if you want to get any type of trade information on that side of things. We'll connect you with Mike and his team if you need anything on the wealth management side. And whether you want to do it yourself or you want to have Mike manage it, it's all available to you to really get a basis of education. And that's what being the winningest is all about. It's by definition, the winningest means the one that wins the most often. And I really have to say, Mike, you are one of the winningest, without a doubt, especially with 11 out of 12 wins this month. I don't think there's many people on the planet that could say the same thing. So, we thank you for all of the guidance that you give us and all of the intellect that you share with us. It's so valuable, all of your mentoring that you've done for us. And I highly recommend that anybody out there, if you don't want to mess with it yourself, if you don't want to, take the time and do the trades, speak with Mike, speak with his team, and run, don't walk, because it's one of the best decisions that you'll ever make. And, we've got a flow of people just ready to come over to you. So thank you, Mike, for all you do. We really appreciate it. Is there any parting words you want to have?
well, I mean, just in the terms of the winningest, just focus on being a little bit better every day. And if you do that, it's amazing the amount of change that you can have in a very short period of time. So as always, Adam, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good one.